Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Come to Find Out. This week we are talking with Steve Greaves of Tithe Lending, and we just recently did a deal together, and he was so easy to work with and so great, and I just really got to know a little bit more about Tithe and kind of their mission, and I really wanted to bring him on so he could kind of share, because they have a very non-traditional way of doing lending. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for making that deal so easy to do. So
yeah, that's, what's nice about just having experience really helps. I've been in this industry now for 10 years, so seen a lot of things. Used to manage a team that was doing like 30 million a month of volume, so every one of those deals, any problem files I would fix. So now I've seen enough things that anything that comes up, I know what to do. And the biggest thing is being prepared, setting things up front so that it's easy throughout the whole transaction. So,
yeah, absolutely. So I love the mission, behind Tithe Lending, because, as I've shared with you and as I've shared, on this podcast before, my background is in nonprofit, and, I am often called like the bleeding heart because I just always want to help everybody, and I want to do, everything that I can to help others. So I think that's why I really was intrigued whenever I heard about it. So I'd love to kind of hear you explain, Tithe Lending, maybe where you guys came up with the idea, how it started, and what you guys do, because I just think it's so unique.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate the opportunity to go through that. So Tithe Lending was born just a little over a year ago. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, birthday, I guess, anniversary.
Yeah, happy birthday, anniversary,
Exactly, yeah. So it was started really, my brother Mark and I, and Brian Zemer, who's his business partner, really just kind of looking at what we were doing in lending. We've been in mortgage for a long time, and thinking about how can we set up something new that really puts God first, but also in that way gives back and helps others, because that's what we're called to do. And Tithe Lending was kind of just set up. We were talking about we want to tithe 10% of our revenue, and then when we were having that conversation, we were like, well, let's just call the company Tithe Lending. It makes sense. So the biggest thing I'll say about that gets people confused is our name. People don't know how to say it. It's kind of funny. So many closings I go to, title agents are like, oh, you're with Teeth, or something like that. So just so everyone who's listening knows what that is, tithe, the word, it literally means 1/10. And if you read the Bible, it's in the Old Testament. God tells the people to give 1/10 of your earnings, your first tenth, back to God in some way. We do that through looking at nonprofits that we think are doing the work that God calls us to do, serving those who are underserved, right? So first 10% of revenue, top line, before we pay taxes, employees, anything, we give that to fuel other nonprofits in the city. So that's kind of how we operate. We just wanted that to be, a lot of companies give to charity, almost all of them seem to give to charity in some capacity. We just wanted that to be in our identity. We do it on every transaction. It's the first thing we do. So we started the foundation so that can kind of be, hey, Tithe Lending gives to the foundation, and then the foundation distributes to nonprofits who come to us saying, hey, we have a gap in our budget, we need more fuel. And it's been nice. We've had a lot of people reaching out that need more fuel, and we're able to help them out.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so amazing too, that you guys were able to create kind of a foundation, so that way, the money goes into that foundation, and then you can really decide where it needs to go and who needs the help. Now, do you have kind of a grant process that, nonprofits would come to you and say, hey, we really need, money for XYZ, or do they just call you up? How does that look?
Yeah, actually, great question. So one thing I will point out about the foundation is there's 3 people who run it, and they don't take any money as income from it.
Wow.
So 100% of what goes into that foundation gets sent back out. So that's something we're really proud of. We want to keep it that way forever. So the way that you can apply, if you go to tithe.foundation, there's actually two things you can do. It's cool. So the number one is what you're talking about. If you're a nonprofit who is like, hey, let's see if we can get some funding for this specific need that will move the needle for us, there's a spot on that website to apply for them. So to become a nonprofit partner, that means you're going to be receiving. There's another piece of it where we didn't expect this to happen. We thought Tithe Lending was going to be the only person giving to the Tithe Foundation.
Yeah.
Well, several business partners started reaching out, other businesses saying, hey, we want to give to the foundation too. Can we be part of this? Which was totally unexpected. So now there's a spot on the website, Tithe.Foundation, where you can become a business partner. And there's like 20 different businesses now that are, when a need comes in, they get alerted, hey, this need's available. And if it's something that they feel drawn to, that like their company wants to get behind, they can donate and help meet the need.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Just, especially, coming from the nonprofit world, just like, a lot of times there are lots of needs, obviously, and then there's competing, people, trying to get like certain money, things like that. So I love that you have it kind of set up to where, companies get to decide how they get to support and, things like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. It's cool how it's kind of evolved because, as we started this journey, like a lot of this stuff has just kind of been evolving and getting better processes and, more people wanting to be involved. So it's really good.
I love that. So then 10% of the fees or whatever, is charged at closing on your side. That's what goes into the foundation?
Yes, all the revenue that we collect. So mortgage lenders, the way that mortgage lenders get revenue, partially it's from the underwriting fee that you'll see, which ours is like $1,000. But lenders also get revenue when the loan is collecting interest, right? So typically you get a percentage of the loan amount up front from the servicer, whoever's going to be servicing the loan.
Okay.
And so we get that revenue as well, but any penny that comes in as revenue for us, 10% goes immediately to the foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So now anyone that's listening, obviously is gonna, hopefully be drawn to this mission and know that, this is so amazing that I could do, a loan, I'm getting a house, and I'm helping people in the community.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to, are there certain charities that you give more money to, or that you are more affiliated with, or, are there like a set few that always come back to you, or is it just really kind of spread out?
It's kind of spread out because the way that we have it set up right now, at least, is like it has to be a tangible thing that foundation or nonprofit needs. So we've done things with the Dream Center, we've done things with the Hope Center. There's a bunch of different places that we've done. So like for instance, just to give you an example of a specific need, like the Hope Center is a place up in Marysville. They do homeless meal serves, things like that. Their big thing that they needed a walk-in freezer for all the food that they're trying to keep fresh for the people that they're feeding, right? They had a space where they had that before, but the space was like a school and the school had to take it back over because of the growth. So that was a tangible need they needed. We need a walk-in freezer, it's very expensive, they don't have the funds. We were able to come in and help meet that. So it's a lot of different charities out there. There was another one, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name, but like they do counseling for people who are, trafficking victims, things like that. Yeah, and they came to us saying, hey, we need another counselor. Like there's so much need, we need another counselor that can come in, but they had a gap in like what they could pay that person. So we helped meet them in the middle of like, hey, now you have enough money for that. So there's things like that we're doing, but it's like a specific tangible need. So it depends, some places, like we volunteer at the Mid-Ohio Food Bank because they need so much help all the time. That's actually a great place to get started if you've never volunteered. But they haven't come to us like, hey, give us that, because they have so many donation partners already and things like that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So then on the lending side of it, if someone comes to you, can you walk us through kind of the process of like, what your lending consultation is, or if you have any programs that are maybe unique to Tithe, could you kind of touch on that?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd love to share that because I know that's how we drive our revenue in is being excellent at lending.
Yeah.
So on the mortgage side of things, that's what we do, mortgage only. So we don't do savings accounts, things like that.
Okay.
But the process really is, first we want to take a full application. That's pretty much what every lender's going to start, because that's where you kind of uncover anything that could potentially cause you to either qualify for a program or not. And I'll talk through that with every client every time, look at specifics of their income, because that's going to be a point where, depending on where they're at and what job they have, we got to work with that. Now, program wise, we have some really good programs.
Mm-hmm.
The programs that we have that are specific to us, we have a program for first time home buyers. We have a couple different ones that can help them. The biggest thing we see right now is people who are struggling with, hey, that I might not have enough down payment to be comfortable buying a house. I don't want to go in and be house poor. So we have a program where we can give people a grant up to 2% of the loan amount to help them with, so it's like 3% down conventional loan, 2% is a grant from us.
Mm-hmm.
So then they only have to bring 1% down. That helps them with down payment. We do have a really cool partnership. We're very blessed to have some connections in partnership with Ohio Credit Union.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a really good couple programs with them. One of them is a 5-1 ARM, which when people hear ARM nowadays, they think that that's really, really scary.
Yes.
But just to kind of explain how it works, it's for the first 5 years, and you're talking 5 whole years, the rate will not change.
Right.
So in today's market, we've seen a lot of people actually be attracted to this because it's a much lower rate, lower fees than the fixed rates. Saves them sometimes $300 a month on their payment. And then they have 5 years before that rate's ever going to change. So, within the next 5 years, as rates fluctuate up and down,
mm-hmm.
and one of the times it goes down, we'll refi them into a fixed, something
Yeah.
like that. But I will say, I've worked for multiple different lenders, and I know friends who work at all. Most lenders don't have a 5-1 ARM that makes sense. So
Right.
they don't offer it because they just don't have one. The only place I've ever worked with that has one is Ohio, and we can use their program, which is great for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, with your first-time homebuyer program, so on the podcast we talked about some of the other programs that like the government ones,
Mm-hmm.
OFA, things like that.
Yeah.
They have certain stipulations, like you have to stay in the house for a certain amount of time. Does your grant have any stipulations like that?
No, so that's what's great about this grant. So a lot of times I've talked to clients who maybe they were pre-qualified with another lender with OFA, then they look at this one. This one's a lot less hoops to jump through, and it does not require you to live in the home for any period of time to forgive it. It's not a second mortgage that you have to pay on. It's just a true grant. The only thing that is a stipulation on it is you have to be under 80% of the area median income. So in Franklin County, that's about $80,000.
Okay.
So if you're under $80,000 of income, you can qualify.
Okay.
Now, we also have the program, most lenders have this by now, the FHA program, where you can get a second mortgage to cover your whole down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 options there. You have one that's forgivable, but it's like 7 years you have to live in the home before it's forgiven.
Yeah.
And then the other one is it's a 10-year second mortgage that you're just making payments on.
Okay.
So we have that program too. I see that advertised a lot. To be honest, I don't have a ton of clients who take me up on that.
Yeah.
Because the other program's better.
Right.
Because it's free money that you don't have to live there for 7 years or pay on it for 10 years. So we have both those options. It just depends on the person. But really, I think the other thing that we have that's a little bit different, we have the same VA programs as everybody else, but our rates are better typically. I'm seeing our rates a lot better because I think just how we have our margins set up,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a little bit less of a spread for us. So I've closed like 7 VA loans in the last 12 months, and
Wow.
they've had other offers, and they're always like, hey, this is way better. And I've seen other loan estimates, so like that's one that we try to make sure we give veterans a really good deal, and every veteran we credit their appraisal back for them as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, because every VA loan needs an appraisal, so try to help them out at least with that expense.
Yeah. So now your brother was the one that started it, and then you're with him, and then I know you brought treats to the closing, and that was made by your sister-in-law, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you guys kind of just keep it in the family then, with everything.
Yeah, so Danielle is my brother's wife. She's a big part of what we do because everything you see from us on social media, like the design and like we have swag, you know,
Yeah.
she designs everything.
Oh, nice.
So like when people see our stuff, they're always like, man, you guys look really professional. It's all because of her, and she doesn't get paid anything. So it's kind of nice that we have that luxury, because she went to school for design some way, but she's also very passionate about making cookies. So that's what we bring that to every closing for the settlement agent, listing agent, buyer's agent, and then the buyers get some too. But I just think her cookies are really good, and
They really are.
yeah, I love that she has to make hundreds of these every month, these cookies, but she's gotten good at it, so that's good.
Yeah, no, they are really, really good. She should definitely look into having like a side business.
Yeah, you know what's funny? We've been asked that many times before. People are like, hey, where can I get more of these? I'm like, well, we didn't buy them. She has to make them.
Yeah.
So we don't have the capacity to be fulfilling orders yet. But yeah, that's something that my brother and her have talked about, like getting some sort of industrial oven that they can make more. And we'll see. I don't think they'll ever do that as a side business, but it's fun.
Right. I love it. No, I just think it's great. And I love that you guys started, you've been, going at it for a year, but like, it's a nice like family thing, and you guys just do everything, with giving in mind. And I think that's huge to me, that you do that, so. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's actually been amazing. For the most part, I would say 99% of the response we've got has been people saying like, hey, we like this, we want to support this. We didn't know how people would react, to everything, but I mean, it's kind of hard to be against helping nonprofits.
Right.
You can't really be mad about that. So.
Right. And if you are, they're probably not people you wanted to work with anyways, so it's okay.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that side has been a lot of fun. And another principle that we live behind is like everybody who works for Tithe Lending volunteers every single month, minimum, like at least 4 hours a month. But we do more than that, but that's something that's also kind of changed how I'm looking at things too.
So I think my computer just died. That is awesome. Dang it, you were doing so good.
No, that was good.
Right, we'll plug it in really fast and then we'll just like finish it up. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, this is good.
Good times.
I've been on one other podcast. It's really not that. It's not that scary,
It's not.
I think some people get really nervous.
They do.
Have you had anybody like that?
Oh yeah. Like when I was recording last week, actually, the person was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so nervous. I'm like, "What are you so nervous about? Like it's totally fine." All right.
Yeah, I was on a radio program for AM 820, Catholic radio.
Yeah.
They invited me on, and before we started, they kept saying, "Hey, we're just talking, relax." And I'm like, look, I'm not nervous. Like, why?
You're like, I'm fine.
I was like, you're making me more nervous now. Like, you keep trying to talk me down,
Right.
But that was a fun one too.
Okay. Yeah, I have never had that happen before. Yeah, I don't know what happened because I had literally just charged it.
Tithe Lending volunteers every single.
Okay.
We got some good laughs in there. At
We
least.
did, yeah.
Volunteers every single.
Okay, so we'll start right about here. So you were talking about everyone volunteers every month.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
volunteers every single month.
Okay, why did it?
Anybody who works for Tithe Lending volunteers every single month.
Okay, there we go. All right, so, did you want to touch on anything that they, like the places they volunteer, or?
I think where I was going with that is like, once you are hands-on with it, the giving part means so much more because you know, like what's going behind the scenes, like that you're giving to, seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So this.
Works for Tithe Lending, volunteers every single month.
Okay. So you can just say, volunteers every single month, and then we'll just kind of start from there.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have you.
Is that, yeah, you know what you're doing.
Okay, we're just gonna have to start a new one. Yeah, and then I'm sure I can find a way to put it all together. Okay. Seriously. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
The response we've got has been people saying like, hey, we like this, we want to support this. We didn't know how people would react. Everybody who works for Tithe Lending volunteers every single month.
Okay. So now I'm gonna try and see if we can get it to just record now.
It's working.
Mm-hmm.
Volunteers at Tithe Lending.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, so everyone who works for us volunteers there. We volunteer every month. It's part of what we do. But what we like about that, or what I've noticed is, before this, I didn't volunteer hardly ever, but you start to see, what these places are actually doing, and it makes, your work mean so much more because you know it's going towards these things and you're hands-on with it. You see the benefit and all the people that are getting a benefit from it, so.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so great because, especially since your mission is, tithing and helping, and, you have that foundation, it is great that you're keeping everybody kind of connected with it. And, I feel like it makes you more passionate about what you're doing when you know what you're kind of linked to and what you're helping.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you know this very well because you were in it for so long. So
Yeah.
it's, when you're seeing those people, the people who are getting the help, it means a lot.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, so if someone was wanting to work with Tithe and they wanted to work with you, obviously in the show notes I'll have, the best ways to get a hold of you, like your email and, phone number, socials, all of that stuff. But, if someone reaches out to you, what do you normally do? Do you kind of like talk with them about the lending process, especially if they're a first-time home buyer? Like, do you sit down and, do you offer to sit with them in person, or do you just do it via Zoom, or, how does that kind of look?
Yeah, I always offer to be in person. A lot of people are just so busy that's like not convenient for them. So do a lot of phone calls. We can do things over Zoom, but for the most part, I talk them through the different situations. And then what we have that's a little bit unique, we have a really cool tool called Quick Qual. And what it is it gives them access to their pre-approval in a way that, if they're looking at a different property, they can type in that purchase price, how much they're gonna put down, change the property taxes. Those are the only 3 things they need to change, and then it gives them a full payment estimate and closing cost estimate. They can kind of see those things. It's very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen that be very big help. Everyone who uses it loves it. I've got some people that are pre-approved that are logging into that 3 or 4 times a day. So they're definitely using it, but that's how we kind of show them, hey, here's what you're gonna have to bring, here's what the payment's gonna be, so they can budget. But when it comes to the lending process, I always go over a high level overview with them and just make sure they, every step of the way, they know what's going on. And people have access to my cell phone. I get calls late at night on the weekends all the time. I always answer. So I just make sure I'm there for everybody and that they know what to do. So that's pretty much how I operate, but I know it seems like a lot of times phone calls is kind of more convenient for people, and that's how I do it.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then, do you work only traditional banking hours? Or can someone reach out to you? Because I get text messages at all hours of like the day and night, and even on the weekends and things like that. I have zero problem with that. Do you only work like certain hours, or are you available?
Always working.
Okay.
So that's what I was, I get calls at 8 p.m. on Sunday sometimes where people need help. Because that's sometimes when you need to make offers and things like that. So during the day, actually, there's times where there's slow times where I don't have to do anything during the day. So that's when I use to get other things done around the house, because I know, people are going to be calling at 7 or 8 p.m. on a Friday night. It happens all the time. But always being available, I think, is a good thing, because in this kind of work, as you would know, you just never know when a property pops up and you need to act fast, because things are going fast in this market.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, I'm starting to be like, did we go back in time? Like, are we in 2020 again?
Yeah.
Because we are seeing those multiple offers and appraisal gaps and things.
Yeah, I just saw a couple. I mean, there was one in UA last week that went like 70 grand over ask with appraisal gap coverage, full gap coverage. Wow. So we're starting to see some crazy things again, so you got to prepare people to be competitive.
Yeah, well, and I think that's where some of the programs that you have that you can help with first-time home buyers is going to allow them to be more competitive, because maybe they can get the help with the down payment with you, and then the money that they were going to do for the down payment they could use for appraisal gap coverage, or some sort of incentive to be competitive in this market.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing too, so lenders have a type of appraisal, it's called an ABM, which I could use to give someone like a line of credit. I couldn't use it on a mortgage, but it gives you a really good baseline of where that house should appraise at. So at least I can offer that on every single house they're gonna offer on. I can give them a copy of that so that they have a good idea, like, hey, if you're offering 300 but this ABM's at 290, it's possible you'll have about a 10 grand gap. So it kind of just helps navigate the gap coverage situation of where you can expect that appraisal to come in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, obviously none of us have a crystal ball, but it's nice to have that, because that's about as close to a crystal ball as you can get in this market. It's just kind of having, a general idea. And if you may be pleasantly surprised, it may come in at, like the same price, or it may end up coming in, a little less or a little more, so you never know.
Yeah, we've been lucky to see quite a few appraisals come in high, actually. So, yeah.
which is really good.
Yeah, we love when that happens, of course.
Yeah.
Built-in equity immediately. So
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're super busy. You got a lot going on, but I really appreciate you, just kind of sitting down, explaining more to me and, all of the listeners about, just like the process and how Tithe kind of came about and, your mission. I just think it's really cool. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I love being on. I love working with you. So I appreciate you as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Come to Find Out.